spoken, and instead of making fundraisers for himself, a few years ago he decided to do a fundraiser for the ISRA, and every penny of it goes to ISRA. He doesn't take anything for himself or anything. It's pretty unselfish of him, and I think we did 3 years, and this year we were talking about it and thought, let's ratchet it up, and we talked to Dan Propp, and then somebody suggested we have, see about Ed Ronkowski, and Ed gave me his phone number. I called him up and asked him, he says, absolutely, and told him it was in September. He says, write me a few dates and I'll see what works for me, and then he agreed to come and talk, and very, very nice guy. I had heard him talk on an interview he did with Dan Propp, an hour-long one. Very interesting guy. He was president of the Conservative Union, or whatever it's called, for like 29 years, and very interesting person. So it would be a very worthwhile fundraiser for ISRA, and I think you would enjoy it a lot. It's not a typical Friends of NRA dinner where there's raffles and things going on constantly. It's more of a sit-down type of dinner with a great guest speaker. So hope most of you can make it. Introduce our guest speakers.
Okay, so this month we have, we're going to take a look at cowboy action shooting, and we've got some friends of mine, Denny Lifetime? Yes. There you go. I never remember how to pronounce his last name. And Bob Pureborn, as long as you don't say it in German, right, Bob?
That's right.
And they have been doing cowboy action for many, many years. They head up a program at my club, Aurora Sportsman's Club, which is getting bigger and bigger and stronger, and they've been doing it for years before that. So, gentlemen, it's all yours.
You gotta get dressed for this.
You don't get undressed for it.
No. Fortunately, we can do this in public and not get arrested.
You're not going to do it, right?
Not today.
Not.
He was doing last weekend in Waterloo, Leidensburg. All right, well, cowboy action shooting, what is it? Well, we dress up as they did between 1850, 1899, in garbs like this, in whatever you really want, cowboy style. We shoot 2 single-action revolvers, lever-action rifles, and shotguns. We've got examples of all of those, and we'll cover those a little bit later. First of all, I want to thank Dave for inviting us down here, and for you to have us here. Hopefully you'll all be able to hear us. I've got, in fact, let me set up the camera. I've got the video here and some actual, some shooting. So let me get that set up here also. Gentlemen, can I? And one guy was sitting around watching this Saturday morning cowboy matinee. He called up some of his buddies and said, hey, instead of shooting semi-automatics, let's shoot single actions like they did back in the old days. So that's how it got started. They started shooting single actions. It progressed up to, they now have an organization that is called SAS, Single Action Shooting Society. SAS is the godfather, watches over us, has all the rules and so forth. So that's how it got started in 81. In 95, it finally made it out here. I found out about it over at Oak Park Sportsman's Club. They had a cowboy action shoot. I'd never seen that. I was doing some other shooting. I was doing fast draw and that kind of stuff. So in 95, I got started shooting. Loved it. So there were some of my other buddies that I talked to, and I said, hey, let's start our own club. So in 97, myself and 2 or 3 other guys put together a cowboy action shooting club. So this was all well and good, but you know, like everything else, you got to have a name for it. So I did a little research. I've got my information here. Well, as we all know, back in the old days, law enforcement was not well developed. You had a lot of territory, a lot of far-flung villages and towns and so forth. So sheriffs and police officers, they didn't have police officers, they had constables, or they had the sheriff and the deputy and so forth. But they were few and far between. So when anything happened of consequence, the vigilantes were formed. Now they call them vigilantes or regulators. It was all pretty much the same thing. They were organized to take care of the situation that had developed. One of those organizations was called the Northern Illinois Regulators. And this was taking place up in DeKalb County, Ogle County. I'm from DeKalb County, from Sycamore. So this was taking place up in that area up there. Now, in 1841, there was a group of outlaws called the Driscolls. John was the father, William, 2 or 3 other boys. And they were a bunch of bad dudes. And they held up stages, they robbed, they stole horses, they stole cattle, and so forth. So the Northern Illinois Regulators got together, especially after William, the son, threatened the newly appointed captain to the Northern Illinois Regulators. He threatened him. He sent him a letter saying, I'm going to kill you if you don't get out of that organization. So, obviously the regulators didn't like that, and ultimately the Driscolls, John and his son William and a couple of the other boys, ended up killing Captain Campbell. Through a lot of evidence collecting, believe it or not, back then, the way they found out who did it, who killed Campbell, the regulators did an area search. They found a bunch of horse tracks near where the Campbell was ambushed. One of the horse tracks had a broken horseshoe. They followed that track right back to Driscoll's, interviewed the Driscolls. One of them said, yeah, he said, that's my horse, I rode it over there, and so forth. He ended up confessing. So, Northern Illinois Regulators got together, got 120 farmers, cattlemen, everybody, people from the villages or from the towns, 120 of them. They tried the Driscolls, found them guilty, and were going to hang them. The Driscolls said, we don't want to get hung. we'd rather be executed. We'd rather have a firing squad. I said, okay, that's fine. So they formed a firing squad. However, 9 of the 120 said they really didn't want to have a part of that. So we were down to 111. So they got John over here, they got William over here, they got half of the 111 over here, the other half over here, and half of this half, their rifles had blanks. This half, their half had blanks. So when the execution took place, nobody knew who really shot William or who really shot John. They shot him. So I thought, well, this is pretty interesting. And I did a whole bunch of research, and there are, they also had not only the regulators, they also had the anti-horse thief organizations. And they even had, and I've got a copy of it, they even had their bylaws all written up in a little book. So they had 3 societies in DeKalb County. The Salmonac Horse Thief Detective Society, they were formed in 1871. The Genoa Horse Thief Detective Club, 1875. And Mayfield Anti-Horse Thief Association, 1895. So you had some sort of organizations that were keeping the law. So after going through this, talked to my partners and I said, well, what do you think we ought to name ourselves? Well, we're in the Kishwaukee Valley. Kishwaukee River runs through Sycamore and DeKalb. Kishwaukee Valley Regulators. So that's how the regulators got put together. This is so interesting to go back through all of that stuff. That's where I came up with it. So, the spirit of the game, well, first of all, Dave introduced me. I'm Dennis Leifheit. Actually, I'm called Six Fingered Judas because nobody goes by their real name. Six Fingered Judas, they call me Six Fingers.
Never Better Bob.
This is Never Better Bob. So, in fact, there are people that will come to shoot at our shoots that I know by their alias and I don't know what their real name is. But, so, Six Fingers. How did you get 6 fingers? Well, believe it or not, when I was born, I had 6 fingers on each hand. So, that's sort of, I figured that's good, it's unique, what the heck. Alright, so, cowboy action. Spirit of the game is basically good sportsmanship. Everybody knows everybody. The rules are written out. The scenarios are written out. You know how you're supposed to shoot, and so forth. And it's just good camaraderie, good sportsmanship. That's what the spirit of the game is. And very seldom do you have or find anybody that is not part of the or not involved in the spirit of the game. Selecting an alias, well, I mean, for me it was pretty easy, sort of. But you do have to select an alias. There are now over 10,000?
Over 108,000.
108,000. 108,000 members of the SAS organization. My badge is number 7458. I'm a life member. Badge 7458.
67949.
So we've been around for a while. But over 108,000 members. This is one of the fastest growing shooting sports in the U.S. We are all over. All 50 states. 10 or 12 countries. I know Australia has them. China has them. So we have international clubs also, all over. So anyhow, so choosing an alias is, at this point, is going to be pretty tricky, and you got to have some good wits about you to figure out a good alias.
I've
shot with ladies that have names like Miss a lot, Cowboy Callie. So it can be creative. It doesn't have to make sense. It just has to have a nickname.
So clothes. Okay. Well, as a shootist, I feel like I should wear a vest and I wear a frock coat when it gets a little cooler. It's a little warm for wearing a frock coat now. So this is what I like to wear. Depends on how hot it is. Maybe I'll take the vest off. Maybe I'll have a different shirt and so forth. But you pick your clothing according to what your alias is, maybe, or which category you shoot in. And we'll cover the categories here in a little bit, too.
One fellow I shot with a few times was Jailbird. So his outfit was pretty simple. Black and white striped. I shot in Florida once with a lady that was a very attractive 20-some-year-old lady wearing a bridal gown, including the training behind it. That was one of the more creative outfits I think.
All right, so the revolvers, they all have to be single actions. I've got a bunch of them back here. Let me go grab. Those are some of my favorites to shoot.
All the firearms after the design has to have been available by the 1890s. The gun might have been manufactured yesterday, but the design had to have been available in the 1890s. That's why they're single-action revolvers, and we only put 5 rounds in, though the single-action would take 6, because the Colt went 6. They have 6 rounds under the hammer. So that's one of the restrictions we comply with. All the calibers are pistol calibers for the rifle and the revolvers. You don't have to use the same caliber for each, but most of us do for the simplicity of loading them. All of our bullets are lead bullets because we're shooting at steel targets, and to keep it safe, we depend on the fragmentation of the lead bullets to not give us kickback. And we're also, the game is intended to be a lot of fun, so they make it easy to do, but it's a time sport, so you put pressure on yourself to limit the time, and that's where the competition comes from. But the targets are steel targets, typically 16 inches by 16 inches or larger, and they're close up to you. The pistol targets can be as close as 7 yards from the shooting line. And you'd think that that would give a lot of fragmentation back at you, but it really doesn't. The targets are set on a slight angle, so there's a lot of deflection down into the ground.
As Bob said, all of the single action, these are all reproductions. My two, these are 3rd generation Colts. I was lucky, and Colts are expensive to buy, and they're just going up. These are 3rd generation, so they're still a little expensive. Luckily, for many years, I had my own FFL, so I was able to pick up some of my stuff at dealer pricing, and of course, then the wife didn't know what came into the house and so forth. So you've got, like I said, these are Colts. I've made sure that all of these are empty. I've had this one all engraved. I've got, these are U.S. rodeos. These have got stag, or these are not stag, yes, they're stag grips. These are open tops. Open tops mean this is a conversion. This was what they went to right after the black powder. So there's no strap across the top. So these are called open tops. But these are cartridge firing revolvers. And you're welcome to come up and see these anytime you want to. This is the other set that I shoot. This is also a conversion. If anybody watched Clint Eastwood, movies that he was in, he had these snakes on his guns. So this is a reproduction of what he carried. And I'm a big Clint Eastwood fan, so I decided, yeah, I better have one of those too. Or a pair of them. So anyhow, single actions. You can carry them however you like. I carry a cross draw on this side, strong side on this side. Bob carries both of his on his strong side and weak side. So when you're shooting like this, my target is this way. If I draw my gun, I'm now going to sweep everybody on my way over to the target. So what we have to do, if you're wearing a cross draw, you got to do the dance. You got to turn sideways, then you pull your gun out so that it comes out right straight down, and then you can turn. So that's part of the rules. Depending on what your category is, you can cover categories too. You can wear the old Buscadero style. If you watch the cowboy movies, they had the holster that hung way down on their side from the belt. In the real West, they didn't have them like that. They wore them here on their sides. They didn't wear them extended down their sides. So they didn't have the Buscadero style. That's Hollywood style. But if you want to shoot that in that category, it's called a B-Western. Then you dress up as they did in the movies or on TV. You dress up like that. There's some more revolvers over there. The other ones that you can shoot are those are the Ruger Blackhawks with the adjustable sights. There's a category that you can shoot those if you would rather shoot the adjustable sights. The rifles, there's many models of the rifles. This is an 1873. In fact, there was a movie called Winchester 73. They shot these like this one. This one is in 44-40, which is my favorite caliber. 44-40 was one of the original rounds in the Old West. So this is an 1873. This one has had an action job. Everybody's had action jobs on their rifles and their pistols and their shotguns just to make them move a whole lot easier. So this is an 1873. Marlin makes their rifle. This is what they call the Cowboy Comp. This is in .38. So this one has less recoil. This has had an action job right straight from the factory. So this is a Marlin lever action. This one is unique. This is called the Lightning. This is made by, well, Colt made the Lightning. This is a pump rifle as opposed to the lever action. The nice thing about this one is you have less movement. You're only moving your hand 3 inches, 2 inches maybe, so it's much faster. This is in .45 long Colt.
That's a tube magazine then?
Yep, tube magazine. He's through the loading gate on the side.
Typically in this game, we're shooting 10 rounds of rifle, 5 rounds in each pistol, and each revolver, and anywhere from 2 to 6 in shotgun.
Without reload, so you have to have the capacity to have 10 rounds.
Okay, what's the trick on? I don't know.
Okay, so those are rifles. They also make the 1866, which they called the Yellow Boy, that had the brass frame. Then they also had the 1860 Henry. The 1860 Henry was, again, a brass frame. The unique thing about that was you turn the top of the barrel about a half a turn, but you push the follower up, turn the barrel, that opened up the magazine, you dropped your shells down into the magazine, turned that top of the barrel, and now you're ready to shoot. And that would hold 10 rounds. All of these rifles will hold at least 10 rounds. So now you go to shotguns. Everybody knows what the old 97, well maybe not. This is a 97, this is an original Winchester 97. Pump shotgun. It's got the external hammer on it. So this is the only pump shotgun that you can use. It has to be a 97. If you don't want to shoot a 97, you can always shoot a double barrel. I've got one, but I didn't put it out. The other one that they made, which again is a little bit different, this is an 1887 shotgun. This is a lever action shotgun. This one has, in fact, this one we were talking about a coyote cap. That's what this one is. This has been modified so that all I have to do is take 2 shotgun shells, drop them down in there, close it, fire it again. These are very fast and a lot of fun to shoot. So between this one, the 87, the 97, and a side-by-side double barrel, those are the shotguns that we use. Okay, so I've been rattling on. Anybody got any questions so far? Yes, sir.
Did you use that gunsmith in Rockford who used to be,
Floyd.
That's it. He did, he only works on Cowboy action, but I had a 94 Winchester. If you've never had if you've never taken a Winchester out of the box, if you know how clunky it is, and when he cuts his own springs, it's like, wow, it's unbelievable. Is he still alive?
He is. I just talked to his wife. He has dementia at this point, and so he's not doing it.
He was phenomenal.
All of my guns were done by him.
Yeah,
He did an excellent job. So there are some other gunsmiths around. John Volpe at Carter's in Shabana. I send everybody to him. He's an excellent gunsmith up there. He knows everything about them. If he can't find the part, he'll make the part. So, and then we have 2 or 3 cowboy shooters that are gunsmiths too. One guy called Huckleberry, which is in the north part of the state, and he's very good also.
I'm the other end of the spectrum. None of my guns have been worked on, and my timing shows. Sooner or later, I'll break free and give some money to the gunsmith. Maybe we go into how the shooter.
Yes, sir.
Did you say that you could use any pistol caliber in the competition?
Yes.
The caliber that was available back in the
Oh, back, so available back in the, okay.
Right. So 3840, 4440, 32, 3220, 2520. I don't know if anybody ever heard of 2520.
Mm-hmm.
They made those, and just a little short cartridge. So very low recoil, which is what a lot of the gamers like when they're shooting. So yeah, and the rifles all have to be pistol caliber. So they can't be a 30-30 or anything like that. They have to be pistol caliber.
22?
A 22 and a 410 are only good for the buckaroos. And the buckaroos are, what, 14 and under, I believe?
Yeah, I think so. 13 and under.
13 and under, buckaroos.
I shoot down in Florida in the winter with a young kid. He's 11 years old, and this year he became the Florida State Champion at 11, shooting with his grandfather. It's a great sport for all ages, men and women. We have, my sister-in-law shoots with us. So it's a great family type of activity. I thought maybe we could go into how the shoot takes place on a Sunday morning. It starts on Saturday afternoon for us. A number of us get together and we set up the targets. And we're doing typically what we call 5 stages. So there's 5 different games we're going to play. And each stage is set up with its own targets. The targets typically are 16 inches by 16 inches or some size larger than that for rifle and pistol. The pistol targets are set up closer to you, the rifle targets are obviously farther away, and then the shotgun targets are someplace in between. The shotgun targets for us are knockdown targets. At other places, they may be pop-up targets, that type of thing. I've shot down in Florida with a group that has a set of tombstones that are set one behind the other. The first target is about this big, shaped like a tombstone. Behind it is a slightly smaller one, and then a smaller one, and a smaller one. So the farther, when you knock down the first one, you get to see the second one, you knock that one down, you get to see the third one, and each time the target's getting smaller and it's getting farther away. There's also something called the Texas Star. That is a rotating 5-pointed star, and there's a knockoff target attached by spring to the end of an arm. And it's stable until you knock down one target. Once you knock one target off, all of a sudden it starts to move. And so the game is to catch up with that movement as it's swinging back and forth and knock all 5 targets down. So the targets are set up on a Saturday afternoon. Sunday morning, about 8 o'clock, everybody shows up between 8 and 8:45. You sign in, you pay the small fee that we have for being able to shoot with the group, and then we set up what we call posses. It's a group of shooters that are going to shoot together one stage and then go to another stage and so on. If we have enough shooters like we did last beginning of this month, then we'll break into 2 posses. So we had 30 shooters, so we had 15 people on each one of the posses. So we start out with the Pledge of Allegiance, then we go into a safety meeting where Denny or whoever is in charge of that shoot goes through the basic safety rules that we have. And Denny has talked about some of them with the dance, if you're doing a cross draw and so on. But even if everybody knows the rules, we always go through them again because repetition brings action. After that, we break into these 2 posses, and one posse goes to perhaps stage 1, and the next posse goes to stage 4. And each stage has a procedure that we have to follow, the 5 stages that we shoot that day. Every time we shoot, the stages are different. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stages that have been created by people over time that are available through the web and that people like Denny have gathered over the years of their shooting. So I don't think I've ever shot exactly the same game anywhere. I shoot down in Florida where I'm a snowbird, so I spent 6 months down in Florida shooting down there, and that's a mecca of cowboy action shooting because they can shoot year-round. Within a short distance of where I live down there are 7 different clubs, so literally almost every Saturday and Sunday you can shoot someplace within that area. I'm moving down there permanently now because of the politics and the taxes in this state, and so I'm going to be living in another town for the summertime, and there's a whole different bunch of places I can shoot there. So
Before we wrap it up, can you tell me what does it cost to get involved, to get it set up, to get into it? And where do you go to learn?
the FFL is probably the best one to tell you what it would cost.
All right, so you need 2 single actions. You can start out, if they have economical ones, they run about 400, let's say 400.
Yeah, 350, 400.
350, 400, so you need 2 of those. You need a rifle, So you can shoot a Model 92, and Rossi makes 92s for about $400.
That's what I shoot.
That's what you shoot. Your shotguns, if you can find a Winchester 97, they run, used ones run about $400, somewhere in that vicinity. Side-by-side, again, somewhere in that vicinity of $3.500, $400, $500. So you've got that tied up in your firearms. You need leather goods. So you're going to have 2 holsters. You're going to have a shotgun belt or a slide like Bob's got. And then you're going to have some kind of a cart to haul all of this stuff around, because it gets really cumbersome carrying 2 guns, long guns in each hand, and ammunition and all that kind of stuff. So you need so you're looking at what, a couple grand, somewhere in that vicinity. Let me show you real quick. I've got a video here. We've been talking about cowboy action. Let me show you what it's really like.
Well, he's setting that up to answer Dave's second question, was how you learn. Come to the shoots and we'll teach you. That's one of the things that happens at our shoots. People come for a week or
Does anybody have any questions
couple
while
of
he's
months
setting
in
that
a
up?
row.
Can you start out like just do pistols and then, you know, and then maybe pistols and rifles and then maybe all 3?
More likely what will happen is, if you can't get everything all together right away, come to the shoot, and most of us have extra equipment and or we'll loan you what we have. We bend over backwards to get people involved in it. What happens typically at our shoots is I find people coming to the shoot and just watching for a month or 2, and they get so excited by watching it, and then I'm talking to them every month too. But we then get them up to the, after everything's done, we get them up to the line and have them do a shoot. Even the shoot itself is over with, everybody else is getting ready to go home, but we let these people have a chance to try it, see how it feels to do it, and it's like fishing, you get the hook in the mouth.
I think Andy's ready to go.